Close your eyes. You're standing on the north bank of the Thames. But it's not the Thames you know. It's narrower here, wilder. The air smells of wood smoke, fish, and wet clay. The city behind you is loud, alive. It's 200 AD, and you are standing in Londinium, the most important city north of the Alps, where you see the city of London today, the glass towers, the financial district, the streets walked by millions. That ground holds a secret. 2,000 years of buried history. Londinium was not Rome's first choice. There was nothing here before the Romans arrived in 43 AD. No major settlement, no Iron Age town, just a crossing point on a river. The Roman army under Emperor Claudius crosses the Thames in the summer of 43 AD. Within months, they are building a bridge, supply depots, the beginning of something enormous. Geography makes Londinium inevitable. The Thames is tidal here, meaning ocean-going ships can sail directly into the city, and the river narrows just enough to bridge. No other site for hundreds of miles offers both. Within 20 years of that first crossing, Londinium is already a major trading hub. Merchants arrive from Gaul, from the Rhine frontier, from Spain and the Mediterranean. This is not a military city, it's a commercial one. It's a then everything burns. In 60 AD, just 17 years after the Romans arrived, Boudica, queen of the Iceni tribe, leads a rebellion that destroys the city completely. Archaeologists have found the evidence of that destruction preserved beneath modern London. A thin layer of red burnt clay, ash, and melted bronze, exactly 10 to 15 centimeters thick, running under the city of London at a depth of about 5 meters. Rome does not abandon Londinium. Within a decade, the city is rebuilt, bigger, more ambitious, and more permanent. Timber gives way to stone, and at its heart, they build something extraordinary, the Basilica of Londinium, where Leadenhall Market stands today, that beautiful Victorian iron and glass market. The Romans built a building that makes it look modest. The Basilica was 167 meters long. That's longer than St. Paul's Cathedral. The Basilica was the city's brain, law courts, civic administration, the seat of provincial government. Every major legal case in Roman Britain passed through this hall. Every governor's decree was announced here. Attached to the Basilica is the Forum, a vast open courtyard, the size of Trafalgar Square, lined with colonnaded shops, temples, and public buildings. This is the commercial and social heart of Londinium. Now let's walk the streets of Londinium. Leave the Forum through the south gate. You're on the main thoroughfare, heading toward the river. The Romans call it the Via Principalis. The streets of Londinium are not like the streets of Rome. No marble facades here, no grand colonnaded avenues. This is a frontier city built for function. Timber, clay, and locally quarried stone. Who lives in Londinium in 200 AD? Estimates suggest around 45,000 people. That makes it one of the 5 largest cities in the entire Roman Empire north of the Alps. But it's cosmopolitan in a way modern Londoners might recognize. We know this from the tombstones. Londinium's cemeteries have given us names from across the empire. Aulus Aufidius Olussa, born in Athens. Vivius Martianus from the Rhine region. Claudia Martina, wife of a provincial slave secretary. These were real people. The Roman working poor of Londinium live in a single room. One room for an entire family. Sleeping, cooking, eating, storing goods. The ground floor is often the workshop. The family lives above their business. What do ordinary Londoners eat? Archaeology has given us remarkable detail. At Bloomberg, London, excavators found 14,000 plant remains. The diet was surprisingly varied. Wheat bread, oysters, beef, pork, fish sauce, olives, figs, and dill. Oysters are everywhere. Londinium sits at the heart of the Roman oyster trade network. They were the fast food of the ancient world, eaten by every social class, on every street corner. For the wealthy, Londinium offers something more. Head west along the Thames and you reach the governor's palace. A vast complex covering nearly 2 acres, with underfloor heating, marble flooring, frescoed walls, and its own private garden. Inside the palace, the floors glow. Hypocaust heating, the Roman underfloor system, runs beneath marble and tessellated tile. In Britain, in the grey, rainy north, the Romans refused to be cold. Londinium also has public baths. Not one, but several. The largest, on the south side of the city near modern Cheapside, was a substantial public complex. Bathing in Rome and in Londinium was a social activity. You came to talk, do business, exercise. Religion in Londinium is complicated. Roman, Celtic, and Eastern religions coexist. There's a temple to Mithras, the secretive mystery cult popular with soldiers. A temple to Jupiter, shrines to dozens of Romano-British gods at street corners. Today you can see a reconstruction of the Temple of Mithras at the Bloomberg London building. Walk down Queen Victoria Street, where the glass and steel of the financial district rises. That same temple foundation sits 17 centuries underground, now brought back to the surface. Let's talk about what the Romans built that is genuinely extraordinary. The waterfront. Londinium's these Roman quays were among the most sophisticated harbor installations in northern Europe. The Bloomberg Tablets. In 2013, excavations at the Bloomberg London site uncovered the largest collection of Roman writing tablets ever found in Britain, 405 of them. They are the voices of Londinium's people, preserved in wood for 1,800 years. One tablet, dated to 57 AD, is the oldest handwritten document ever found in Britain. It's a financial note, a debt recorded between merchants. Not philosophy, not poetry, business. These were practical people. One of the tablets mentions a man named Tibullus, a freedman, meaning a former slave who has earned his freedom. He owes money. Another records a legal dispute about a boat. These are not emperors or generals. These are ordinary people. Now we need to address the darkness. Londinium is not a paradise. Life expectancy at birth is perhaps 35 to 40 years, though those who survive childhood can live much longer. Infant mortality is devastating. Perhaps a third of all children die before age 5. Disease is constant. The Walbrook stream running through the middle of Londinium is both water supply and sewer. Roman sanitation had public latrines, but no germ theory, no understanding of contamination. Waterborne illness was endemic, but Londinium also had what most ancient cities didn't, a sophisticated water supply. Archaeologists have found traces of Roman wooden water pipes and stone cisterns. The city was at least attempting to solve the problem. Londinium at its peak, around 120 to 200 AD, had an amphitheatre. Where the Guildhall courtyard stands today, Roman Londoners watched gladiatorial combat, animal hunts, and public execution. Today the Guildhall, the medieval and modern seat of the City of London's government, sits directly above the Roman arena. The foundations of the amphitheatre were discovered in 1988. They're still there. The oval curve of the original Roman walls is now marked in dark stone in the Guildhall courtyard. Historians debate exactly how popular gladiatorial games were among the British population who had no tradition of arena entertainment. Evidence suggests Londinium's arena was used, but whether Britons embraced it or merely tolerated it remains an open question. In 200 AD, Londinium acquires its greatest physical monument, the city wall. 2 miles of Kentish ragstone, 3 meters thick and originally 6 meters high, encircling the entire city. It weighs more than 86,000 tons. Parts of that wall still stand today, at Tower Hill, at the Barbican, at Noble Street. Where you see those grey stones, wet with London rain, they are the same stones quarried from Kent 1,800 years ago. Touch them and you touch Roman Britain. The wall creates 6 gates. Ludgate to the west, Newgate, Aldersgate, Cripplegate, Bishopsgate, Aldgate to the east. Major roads fan out from each gate across Britain. These are the arteries of the province. Bishopsgate. Step through it heading north on Ermine Street, the Great Roman Road, and you're heading toward Lincoln, York, and Hadrian's Wall. Aldgate east leads toward Colchester. Londinium is the knot that ties Britain together. Now we reach the 3rd century. Londinium begins to change. The empire is under pressure. Political instability in Rome means constant turnover of emperors. The crisis of the 3rd century. Governors change. Garrison sizes fluctuate. Trade patterns shift. Between 259 and 274 AD, Londinium is not even governed by Rome. A breakaway Gallic Empire, its own separate Roman successor state, controls Britain. Historians still debate what daily life was like during this schism. Evidence suggests not much changed. Business continued. By the late 3rd century, Londinium's population is declining. The waterfront wharves are silting up and not being maintained. Some buildings are demolished and not rebuilt. The city is contracting, but it is not dead. Then, in 296 AD, an event that shakes Londinium. The usurper Electus has seized control of Britain. The legitimate Emperor Constantius I mounts an invasion to retake the province. His fleet enters the Thames. Electus is defeated and killed outside London. A medallion struck to celebrate the victory, found in France, shows the city of Londinium personified as a female figure kneeling to welcome Constantius at the city gate. The caption reads, "Restorer of the eternal light, Londinium still matters to Rome." By 300 AD, the city is renamed. It's now sometimes called Augusta, a name suggesting imperial prestige. The walls are reinforced. New bastions are added. A riverside defensive wall is built along the Thames waterfront. Londinium is fortifying. The 4th century brings 2 extraordinary events. First, in 312 AD, the Emperor Constantine legalizes Christianity across the empire. Londinium has at least 1 bishop by 314 AD. We know this because a bishop of Londinium attended the Council of Alls in France that year. Second extraordinary event, Londinium becomes, briefly, the center of the world. In 368 AD, a massive barbarian conspiracy, Picts from Scotland, Irish raiders, and Saxons from across the North Sea, simultaneously overwhelmed Hadrian's Wall and the coastal defenses. Britain falls into chaos. The Emperor Valentinian sends his best general, Theodosius, to Britain with a crack force. Theodosius lands near Richborough and marches to Londinium. He uses the walled city as his base of operations. It takes him 2 years to restore order. The walls save Londinium again and again, but they cannot save it from the final unraveling. By the early 5th century, the empire is withdrawing. In 410 AD, Emperor Honorius reportedly tells British cities to look to their own defense. And then, in the space of perhaps a generation, Londinium stops. Not burned this time, not sacked. It simply empties. The coin supply dries up. Roman pottery disappears from the archaeological record after around 410 to 430 AD. The city goes quiet. Why did the population leave? Historians debate this. There's no invasion of Londinium on record. No plague specifically documented here at this moment. The best evidence suggests that as the Roman economic and administrative system collapsed, the city, which depended entirely on trade and imperial taxation, simply lost its reason to exist. The Anglo-Saxons who eventually settle in what we now call England do not live in Londinium. They call the ruined walled city London, or the work of giants. The basilica, still standing, roofless, shrinking, is beyond anything they could build. So they build just outside the walls. Over centuries, the old Roman city is slowly reoccupied. Medieval London grows up directly on top of Londinium. The street grid is buried. The Forum is demolished for building stone. The basilica falls. But the bones of the Roman city, its street lines, its walls, its orientation, shape everything that follows. Every time Londoners dig for the underground, for new buildings, for utilities, they find Rome. At Cannon Street Station, the Walbrook, at Cheapside, at the Bloomberg site, at One Poultry, the city beneath the city. What can you see today? More than most people realize. In the basement of the Guildhall Art Gallery, the curve of the Roman amphitheatre wall is preserved and lit. At the Museum of London, recently relocated to West Smithfield, you can hold objects that Londinium's people touched. A child's leather shoe, found in the Walbrook, preserved for 1,800 years in the waterlogged silt, about 15 centimeters long. A child's shoe. A child who walked these streets, who ate oysters, who played, who was real. That shoe is why this matters. Londinium was not an abstraction. It was not an empire. It was a city of people who loved their children and traded in their markets, and argued in their law courts and prayed in their temples and walked these streets. Their city is still under your feet. Londinium lasted nearly 4 centuries as a functioning Roman city. It was cosmopolitan, ambitious, sometimes brutal, always commercial, and endlessly fascinating. It is London's origin, and it is waiting 5 meters beneath your feet to be found. If you've made it this far, thank you. If this city's story moved you even slightly, leave us a comment. Tell us which Roman city you want to explore next. Subscribe if you want to keep traveling back in time. And as always, we'll see you in the past.